Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a really necessary upgrade to the power plant of my ERIDE Pro SS with this new Chai Titan 72 volt, 400 amp discharge plus battery that I just got in. Now I ordered this thing about a month ago and been waiting forever to get it imported. It's finally here. Cannot wait to get this thing on the bike and finally give that bike the punch that it deserves. That X-9000 controller that I installed on it is great, but the controller needs a high discharge battery for it to max out. And this battery is going to be the perfect pair for it. Now I also have this ALTA Race Throttle, which is a really nice, smooth, responsive throttle. Now when I got that X-9000 controller, it didn't have any kind of a full-size color display that came with it. I had to use the EGGRIDER, and I can't stand that thing. As some of you guys know, I've been staring at computer monitors for like 25 years plus, and I've completely destroyed my eyes. So I can't see anything on that EGGRIDER. So I really need this thing. And I've been waiting for this battery to show up so I could install it. And it's super nice. EBMX display, easy plug and play with my X-9000. So I figured while I have this whole bike apart to put the battery in, why not install this? I was absolutely blown away with the battery that I got from my Sur-On, on how nice and protected the battery was, how much effort they put into the packaging. I really think Chai is a great company, and they also got really great customer service. They're responsive, they deal with customers, and they really went through a lot of trouble to get me these two batteries to Taiwan. I'm not sure anybody else has these batteries even in Taiwan right now. So I feel pretty lucky that they're willing to go the extra mile for me. So let's get this box opened and see what's inside. These batteries aren't cheap, for sure, but I think they're worth every penny. And they include everything with these, everything you need. Contents showing everything inside the box. They ship everything in these foam shells. And you know, soon I have to ship all these bikes back to America, maybe more towards the end of this year. And I can use all these boxes from the batteries to ship the batteries back. So I'm definitely not throwing these out. Okay, here's the 84 volt 5 amp charger. And I also ordered the variable rapid charger. So that's awesome. Wow, this thing's heavy. Whoa. Damn. Is there anything else in here? Nope. And you can see there's like a shell in the bottom of the box, and everything in here is just really super secure. Nice job. God, man, no room. Let's get some of this plastic off the battery here. Let's see what it looks like. You can see it has the upgraded QS8 anti-spark connector, nice and beefy connector. And this battery looks great. Steel enclosure. They really put a lot of effort into these. I'm so impressed. There's no battery from China that looks anything like this. Not even close to Chai in terms of build quality. Yeah. And here's my wiring harness for the bike. And you see this one has a breaker delete as well with a QS8 to match the battery. Then this one goes to the X-9000 positive on the controller. This one goes to the negative on the controller. And then this plugs to the ignition on the ERIDE Pro SS. And it should work. Now on the Sur-On, I just put a larger breaker, a 250 amp breaker, and it works great. It never pops with my BAC 8000 and my Chai Gladiator. Chai recommends actually that you do the breaker delete because this has a fuse in it, which can blow if there's any short or overcurrent. So I think this time I'm just gonna do the breaker delete and install this cable. It'll be a lot easier and I can actually have more space when I remove that breaker. So let's get all these parts down to the bench and get this stuff on the bike. Usually when I get an electric bike or a new battery, the first thing I always do is get it charging. I wanna make sure that the battery's okay before I spend a lot of time installing it on the bike. So let's bring it over here so it's not too noisy bothering us, and get this thing charging. Yeah, right now it's charging at 10 amps. So you can see the battery is at around 68 volts. And usually these 72 volt batteries will charge up to around 82 or 83 volts. So we're gonna sit this and leave this thing charging, and let's install the wiring on the bike. So the first thing I'll do is I'm gonna remove this ERIDE Pro stock battery lid because I don't want it in the way when I'm working on the bike. And you can do that with just these 2 screws right here. And now I'm gonna remove this ignition plate so I can get access to the wires and the connectors underneath. Just 2 bolts. And I'll flip the breaker off. Now let's remove the battery. It's really difficult, this one, man. You know, on every video we've ever done with this bike has been getting this connector out.
Hope that the Chai battery doesn't do that.
No, man, it does. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right, now with the battery, the lid, and the ignition plate gone, I can loosen up this breaker plate, get the breaker off, and get the stock battery cable out, and then I'll drop the controller so I can get access to the battery leads on the back of the controller. Let's remove this plate on the EBMX X-9000 because I need to drop the controller so I can get to the wiring underneath. This one is for the throttle cable, and that goes down to this boot and the bash guard. Now I can remove the top 2 controller mounting bolts, and the controller should come right down. I have access to all the connectors, and these are the battery leads here, positive and negative, and I need to remove these and remove the breaker, and then I can pull the stock battery wires off the bike and replace it with the Chai ones. Here's the breaker, and because I'm doing the breaker delete, we're just gonna remove this thing and the battery leads that it's attached to with these 4 through bolts that go through to the back of this breaker plate. I can use this size 8 Torx in these needle nose. Just need to disconnect it from the controller. Here and here. Now before I pull this out, I will disconnect this ignition plug because it's attached to the breaker. You don't want to damage that wire. Yep, everything's right here, and there's the stock wiring. So I will change the battery connectors going to the controller and also for the new larger display. And I'll just set those here for now. Unplug that EGGRIDER. Put the new cable in. Just drop it through the frame with the battery cable. And just line up these notches inside the cable. It's pretty hard to screw these up if you're just really careful about those. And there's also arrows on the outside. Give it a good audible click. Now I'm going to drop the battery cable down so I can connect it to the controller. And I'll just leave that hanging right here too. Don't forget to put the red and black boots back on the cable because these are pretty nice. They stop all the dirt and stuff from getting on the terminal bolts. Before I put this controller on, I need to drop this bash guard because I need to get to a boot that's inside of here to disconnect the stock throttle cable. And then I can finally assemble everything once I change the throttle. So let me loosen up this throttle, but I'm not going to pull it off just yet. Just leave it there loose. I need to remove all these zip ties. What a difference, right? Now I need to drop this bash guard and get to that boot so I can disconnect the throttle. this dirty, nasty boot. And the throttle cable is this 3-pin right here. Now I can remove the old throttle. We're gonna replace it with this badass ALTA. So I went ahead and mounted the brackets on the back of the display, and it's gonna go right here, and it just clears this direct mount stem, which is perfect. And I'll go ahead and get that mounted to the handlebars, and then I'll run the wires down through here into the neck of the bike. And wow, this is gonna be a lot better than that other one, man. Nice fit. Now all I need to do is button up these wires underneath, bolt up that bash guard, and then I can mount this controller back and get the battery in and see if it works. And all the rest of this stuff besides this ignition plate has to go back in the bike. All right, this controller is fully mounted now. Now I just need to plug in the display. And you can see the new harness has this blue connector on it, and that will plug right here. Okay, now is a good time to make sure that my connections are working. Now I know I already have the controller bolted up. I probably should have checked to make sure it was working when I had the controller down, because it's a lot easier to fix something. Battery's at 100%, and you can see it's right around 83 volts, and it took what, around 3.5 hours? It was running mostly about 9.8 amps. Let's get this thing over here and see if I did a good job on this battery install. So far, so good. Man, this part always makes me nervous, but I think I did everything right. Let's see. It's powered up. Oh, it's definitely working. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm gonna get this thing all put back together, get the battery inside the bike, make sure it can fit with the cover, but it should. Chai said it would. Now this battery is gonna push this bike to nearly 30 kilowatts. I have this XLB60 EBMX motor, which is like 32, I think, kilowatt capable, and it's going on this bike. Now most of these motors, I know the one on the Suron is rated for around maybe 15,000 watts max before they start overheating and having issues, or you could burn it out. These aftermarket motors are really nice and can handle a lot more RPM and heat. This 4-pin connector that was on the ERIDE Pro stock battery, you won't be needing anymore with this Chai battery. So I'm just gonna zip tie this up and put it into the neck of the bike. Let's see how it compares to the stock battery, man. It's the exact same height. It was a bit tricky to get these cables to fit nice and snug under this lid, but if you route it just right, you can actually get it to fit. It's not a problem. Make sure nothing's getting pinched and fits good. Wow, looks awesome. Cannot wait to ride this. So let's go into the EBMX app. And the first thing you're going to want to do is select the device, X-9000. You see the red circle that says race and has the 2 flags. I can toggle that on and off between street and race mode. If you don't toggle that to race mode, you're not going to be able to unlock the higher power levels on the bike. Now let's go into the settings. And in general, I got the bike type set to ERIDE Pro. The motor type is the ERIDE Pro motor because this is the stock motor still. And I've set the race mode battery current limit to 400 amps to match the Chai's output. In the modes and levels, I have the power level set to 20 kilowatts, again, because I'm using the stock ERIDE Pro SS Motor and I don't want to burn it out or damage it yet. But when I put the XLB60 in, I will set this setting to the max 30 kilowatts, like you see in the app now. Let's just leave that at 20 for now. And now in the throttle section, these settings are pretty important for the torque. Now you can see the ramping and curve I have set to 20 milliseconds. This feels really good, and you can very easily pop a wheelie right at the start of the throttle twist. And I didn't touch the negative ramping time, but I decreased the input deadband to around 1%. And that's the little dead area in the very beginning of the throttle, probably for safety reasons, but I like to decrease that as much as possible. And I think that's going to do it. This should give a nice base for the settings for the stock ERIDE Pro SS motor.